All right, good afternoon, everyone. If we can gather in really close. We'll get this started. Perfect weather for today, and thank you so much, everyone, for coming out today. Our dignitaries, our stakeholders, and guests. My name is Bill Chapman, and I'm the Vice President for the Highway 3 Twinning Development Association, and I'll be your Master of Ceremonies for today. Just some quick housekeeping details here for you. This is a working site, so all regulations apply, including those that are outlined by LEDCOR. We ask that you remain in the vicinity of the ceremony, and of course washrooms are off behind you, and there is a muster point as well situated just over here to my right. You'll see the sign that says muster point. Further to this, when you're exiting after the ceremony, please follow the road around the buildings out to the east entrance past the Gow Onions. And then when you're turning left, make sure you look right as well. And safety first, of course. And then when you if you have to cross the highway, please be very disciplined and cautious about crossing the highway. Thank you very much. So as I began, I was fortunate to meet two former Government of Alberta cabinet ministers yesterday, and each were also the Deputy Premier of the province of Alberta during those years of Premier Don Getty and Ralph Klein. And following the convocation at the university, I informed them that today we would be hosting a formal groundbreaking ceremony for the twinning of Highway 3. So you'll have to get this picture because both of them just jumped with jubilation and enthusiasm, and they could hardly believe their ears. Jim Horseman and Shirley McClellan currently both live in Medicine Hat and used to have to travel all the way to Lethbridge on a 2-lane highway for their duties, of course, at the university. So they were super happy to hear this news. So here we are today, and as this sign says, Building Alberta. So I want to welcome the Honorable Devin Dreeshen, Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors, our MLAs that are here. I don't know if I've seen any members of Parliament yet. And of course, municipal elected officials along the Highway 3 corridor, and of course, LEDCOR. And I'd like to thank LEDCOR for allowing this spot and opening up this spot for hosting this ceremony. So what a great attendance today, right from across the province, from Medicine Hat all the way through to the Crow's Nest Pass and Pincher Creek. Many of our stakeholders along this corridor are here to witness this great event. This event is obviously history in the making, and as I was commenting to a few before this start, that after more than 40 years of meetings and 3 generated impact analysis studies and countless kilometers traveled to meetings, and of course the countless hours in boardrooms, we are honored and grateful for the commitment of the provincial government to twin the remaining 220 kilometers of highway. So we are here to observe the commencement of Stage 1 from Taber to Burdett. So Minister Dreeshen, all of our economic impact analysis studies have shown that for every dollar of investment into construction, that we have $3 in return in economic development and activity along the Highway 3 corridor. And those investments are already taking place, and we've seen already a number of mega projects starting to surface along this great corridor. And these are certainly proofs of the vision of this government and, of course, as I say, the Alberta advantage. We are noticing much more tourism and recreation discovering this corridor, and twinning will definitely strengthen those destinations. So, Minister, this is truly a worthy project, and of course, this is just the start. I want to thank all of our previous municipal elected representatives, our school board trustees, our board members and appointed stakeholders, and of course those 5,000 people who signed the petition earlier. You're the ones who defended the mission of the Highway 3 Twinning Development Association, and that is to support the completion of the twinning of Highway 3 from Medicine Hat to the BC border as an integral part of the evolving multimodal provincial transportation system. And of course, our vision is that for a twinned Highway 3 that is safe, it's community-minded, and of course, regionally economic corridor of the province and national transportation system. So I thank each and every one of you for your continuing advocacy for this vital and relevant project. On behalf of the Highway 3 Twinning Development Association, Minister Dreeshen, please accept our gratitude, and to Premier Danielle Smith, our cabinet and government, your perseverance to get it done is paying off. Minister Dreeshen.
Well, thank you so much, Bill, and thanks everybody for being here today. This truly is a decades in the making project, and to finally see it done has just been fantastic. And before I begin, I just wanted to mention my colleagues that are here from the Alberta Legislature. We have MLA Grant Hunter is here, and MLA Justin Wright are here, and thank you both for your advocacy for this work and for this project. Now, I know it kind of comes full circle for me, this project, as the Minister of Agriculture and Forestry at the time when we had nearly $1 billion of irrigation expansion here in the province, working with the irrigation districts as well as the Canada Infrastructure Bank to actually have hundreds of thousands of new irrigated acres come on stream here in southern Alberta. So obviously that project, that vision was going to lead to the inevitable twinning of Highway 3, because all those new irrigated acres are going to attract value add in our agri-food processing capacity. So to have this infrastructure there really does signal to investors around the world that southern Alberta can have that capacity and can be that magnet for investment and job creation here in the province. So it's great to see that finally the Highway 3 twinning is going to be broken up into 8 phases. This is obviously the first phase between Taber and Burdett, which is this 46-kilometer stretch. Dirt has obviously been moved by Ledcor, and the $170 million project, this first phase, will be completed by, or I'm going to say will be completed, by next year, and hopefully the construction, everything goes well with the guys at Ledcor. So it's great to see Highway 3 again from Medicine Hat to the BC border finally being twinned. There's obviously local safety issues that can now be well addressed by not having head-on traffic. Everybody on the same direction is going in the same direction on the same side of the highway. So on a safety side of things for people and families that live in this area, it's just a huge announcement, as well as for the economics of the entire province, for this to really be that key economic corridor for the province. So I know we can get into specifics maybe later, but I know there's going to be a major realignment near Grassy Lake and Highway 877, probably just a complete bypass going around there. But this first section, we started here because this is the easiest stretch, this 46 kilometers. The other 7 phases are in different parts of designing and engineering. And obviously we want to see them completed as soon as possible, so this entire Highway 3 twinning project can be completed. So I'd now like to turn things over to Parliamentary Secretary Grant Hunter. He's been a huge advocate for this. He's the Parliamentary Secretary for Agri-Food Development, and I know we've worked very closely together on the irrigation deal as well as this Highway 3 twinning project. So with that, I'd like to turn things over to Parliamentary Secretary Grant Hunter.
Well, I put it in order last night to the big guy. I wanted sun, no wind, and $5 million. So I got the sun and no wind, which I wasn't sure about the no wind. I want to thank everyone who came out today. This has been, as Minister Dreeshen said, a project in the making for decades. And I just want to do a shout out to a few people. I want to shout out to Bill Chapman, a good friend of mine, who tirelessly saw the need for twinning Highway 3, recognized the need for making sure that we could drive our roads safely, recognized the value of having an economic corridor that had the right the infrastructure. I also want to be able to do a shout out to every mayor and reeve along this corridor that has tirelessly advocated for this work. I also want to do a shout out to my friend, Minister Devin Dreeshen. He stated this earlier, but he and I were down here a few years ago announcing $1 billion expansion in irrigation. And when we all, everybody who was in cabinet and treasury board and caucus at the time, took a look at the value proposition about what's going on down here in southern Alberta and what we could do to be able to make it better, we all recognize that if we build it, they'll come. And just last year, we saw McCain's announce their largest global expansion in the world, a $600 million expansion. We just had an announcement from Coaldale and the great work that Mayor Jack Van Ryn and his team did of New Cold, $222 million food logistics investment. And this is a multinational corporation that when I talked to them, they said, you guys are doing it right here. Not just about the Alberta Advantage, but he said, we've built all over the world, and this will be the fastest we were able to take it from a cup of coffee to actually getting it done in any projects we've ever done. That's a fantastic thing to say, and I appreciate that because I used to be the red tape reduction minister, and we took it very seriously about making sure that we got out of the way of our job creators and our innovators in Alberta. And here in this corridor in southern Alberta, between Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, we're going to see some of the greatest growth in the agri-food sector that we've ever seen in Alberta, and I think probably in North America in the next 10 to 20 years. And this is all because well, first of all, we've got some great blessings. We've got the sun, we've got the heat units, and we've got the water. We've got some fairly amazing and innovative farmers in this area that do it right. And all over the world, they're starting to take notice about what's going on here in southern Alberta. When I go out and sell this, and I sell it out throughout the world, I tell people about what's going on in southern Alberta, and they say, well, what's Alberta? I have to tell them it's in Canada, and then they can start to get to know it. But when I tell them what we're doing, and I tell them about how we're adding 280,000 irrigated acres of irrigation, they can't believe it. And then they talk about the water that's coming out of the eastern slopes, some of the best water in the world. They get excited, and this is where they're going to come. And so I've seen the vision about what can happen down here. We've got ministers, we've got the premier, we've got really innovative farmers and ranchers, and we've got some of the best mayors and reeves and councillors in the world right here. And I think because of that, we've got the winning formula to be able to make something incredible down here. So thank you for coming. And with that, I want to be able to turn the time over to Jeff Appelman with Ledcor.
Thank you very much, MLA Hunter. Highway 3 is a vital transportation link for the people of southern Alberta, as it's an economic corridor through the agricultural heartland of Alberta. It also links the province to the east of us to the province to the west of us to become a southern trans-Canada link to move resources such as agriculture safely and efficiently to and from global markets. The twinning of 46 kilometers of Highway 3 from Taber to Burdett will improve safety along the highway transportation connection between Lethbridge and Medicine Hat and onto BC provincial boundary to help reduce head-on collisions while improving efficiencies to the agricultural industry in this corridor. Ledcor has been a partner with Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors for over 60 years and has been a part of many key transportation construction initiatives over this time across this great province. We are honored and proud to be a part of this important Highway 3 initiative by the Government of Alberta for the people and the agriculture industry of southern Alberta. I'd like to leave you with one last thought. Good governments invest in good roads because good roads save lives. Good roads drive the GDP of this province. Good roads save money. Good roads create jobs. Good roads build a strong tax base for health and education. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Jesse.
We'll now move on to questions from the media. So we're going to start with reporters here in person. So if you have a question, please line up at the mic here. State your name and outlet. And just a reminder, we're going to be doing one question, one follow-up. Seeing none, we'll move on to... Okay, go ahead.
Carson with CTV Lethbridge. Question for Bill Chapman, if possible. I guess from the association's perspective, advocating for more than 20 years to finally be where we are today. I know there's been a few recent delays in the project, but to finally have the ground broken, I guess, what does it mean for the association to be here today?
Well, thank you for the question. Today is just really a proof in the pudding that that things do happen, and if you put your mind to it and your heart and your passion for this project, it'll certainly come about. It sometimes takes a bit of patience, but it's all about relationships, and that's been a big part of our progress for this project.
Okay, we'll now move on to questions on the phone lines. Operator, can you please put through the first caller?
First question is from Jonathan Badley, Western Standard. Please go ahead.
Hello, Minister Dreeshen. Thank you for taking my question. You said construction has begun on the twinning of Highway 3 between Taber and Burdett. So at the moment, these lanes are being developed, and it's going to take multiple years for that to happen. Once that's done, do you see any additional lanes after this twinning being added? Why not?
Yeah, so the construction's already started here on this 46-kilometer stretch of the 324-kilometer Highway 3 from Medicine Hat all the way to the BC border. And it's if we're on budget and on time and on schedule, hopefully by 2025 we'll be able to finish this 46-kilometer stretch. And then from there, the other 7 phases are at varying degrees of engineering and design work and planning. So we'll obviously move as fast as we can on that. It does get complex when you're looking at land acquisition as well as designing and engaging and consulting with community members and communities along this stretch of highway for over 300 kilometers. So there's a tremendous amount of work left to do on the other 7 remaining sections. But it's our hope to get Highway 3 twinned as quickly as possible.
And for your follow-up?
Yes. So you mentioned that the Alberta government has said that Highway 3 is an important economic corridor. How do you anticipate this twinning to improve the economy?
It's huge. As Parliamentary Secretary Hunter mentioned, as well as Bill Chapman, when you have these types of investments into the agri-food sector, there's sometimes multiplier effects of 3+ times when you see these types of investment. And with irrigation, I think the numbers are even higher. So it's great to see that as irrigation gets expanded out and hundreds of thousands of new acres are now being irrigated, you're seeing higher value crops, and then also agri-food in companies coming in here and investing and setting up shop here in southern Alberta, and then obviously the jobs that go along with that. So we're on the cusp, and as Parliamentary Secretary Hunter said, McCain's and others have moved in already. But the signal of the twinning of Highway 3 as well as those new irrigation acres and the new reservoirs in southern Alberta are going a long way of attracting more businesses and the hundreds of millions of dollars and thousands of new jobs here in the province. So it's a huge economic benefit for the entire region.
Okay, operator, can you please put through the next caller?
There are no more callers in queue.
Okay, last call for questions here in person. Thank you, everyone. That ends our time today.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.